Mr. Motron Games tells me I got a cameo. I'm interested. I want to watch it. Let's see what happens. ActRaiser.
I don't know what it is about those early
20 minutes long. I love it when they're 20 minutes long.
completely devoid of pretense or desire to be anything but fun. You know, before the play it loud era, when they were still figuring out how to develop for the system, so graphics were kinda boxy and the music pulled from the same audio banks, and they really liked showing off Mode 7. But there was just something unique about them, almost like they were 8-bit games, but like 16-bit. I don't know how else to explain it. Well, ActRaiser fits snugly in that category of game, having been released in 1990 and displaying the innocent charm of the era. Oh, sorry, just got a real nostalgia rush right there. It was developed by Quintet and published by Enix, and it actually breaks the mold somewhat by being something of an action platformer mixed with a city building sim. A lot of you probably played it, meaning it's got good nostalgia currency, so let's review it and see if this neat little chimera of a game holds up. The whole concept of this game is pretty cool. You actually play as God, referred to as the Master in North America thanks to Nintendo of America's sensitivity to any religious subject matter. The game starts as you awaken from a long slumber in your Sky Palace after getting your ass kicked by Tanzra hundreds of years prior. Tanzra, by the way, is...
See, just personally, when Motron tells me there's a cameo, now I'm extra just vigilant while I watch, because I don't know what I'm going to show up.
6 lieutenants. The world was divided into 6 lands and filled with monsters. As the master, you gotta put a pot of coffee on and get down there to fight those monsters and rebuild civilization. And I gotta say, it's a pretty clever concept, and I don't think it had been done before in a Nintendo system. And I'm not too mad at the censorship, because I feel like if they did use God and Satan, it would have been more tethered to the theology of it all, which in turn would have hampered creativity. And with all this imagery, if you still need it spelled out like that...
I agree. Fable, not Fable. Fable? Black and white does a similar thing. It's secular instead of specific.
You gotta start in Fillmore. Now, before you go thinking that you're gonna be quenching these lands with omnipotent judgment and hellfire, just know that the ass whipping you took hundreds of years ago. The only way to battle these monsters is face to face. The first order of business in each land is to beam down there and inhabit the statue of a sword-wielding hero. Yes, this unusually upright gentleman is actually just an avatar you use to move through each level, which is done in this classic side-scrolling manner. The first level for every land is Act 1, and it'll have you jumping, swinging your sword, dodging, swearing.
My watch is asking me if I'm done with my workout, because I took a break to watch this. I'm not done, I'm just pausing. It's always worth pausing a workout.
You have your HP listed at the top, as well as a magic meter for your acquired spells. There are only 4 spells, and they're not much to write home about other than the fact that some of them, like the Stardust spell, could be a tad overpowered. You can pick up items to replenish things and all that. Really, the action sections are as normal as they can possibly be, which isn't incredible, but hang with me here.
I'm so glad he's giving this game a signal boost, and it's such a good review already. This is like, you could have got this on. If History Channel did good stuff, you'd get this on History Channel.
Who, you may recall, is your servant from the Sky Palace and serves as a second avatar for the second facet of the game, which is this city building. Now, don't get too excited because this ain't even close to something like SimCity. Your job for the next little bit is to essentially clear the land.
Oh God, I'm gonna be the cherub. I'm so afraid I'm gonna be that naked cherub. Somehow. Stressful. In a fun way.
It's quite satisfying. While you do this, there will be monsters to antagonize you and your devotees. Each land has up to 4 monster layers, which serve as spawn points for the 4 types of beasties, and each beastie has a different way of causing trouble.
God, I love learning the names. Motron's great at learning the stuff and disseminating the info. Shit, I played this game with those skull heads. They were creepy, and they always made me feel anxiety when they showed up. Because it's really specific. It's like, oh shit, death.
Unlocks progression and more opportunities to grow. Your people will speak to you regularly via prayer to give you the 411, or offer items and spells which can help you in battle mode or sim mode. Build up your population enough and you start gaining levels. Build it up even more and something will happen in the narrative to unlock Act 2, which is another side-scrolling action stage, the boss of which is one of Tanzra's 6 lieutenants.
I'm so glad we're remembering this game through Motron games, because I forget how nice it is to combine two genres into one game. It's like when you get sick of one thing, you just shift to the next thing. So SimCity is boring to you, then shift to Final Fight. That's how ActRaiser works.
Desert, Itos has a volcano, Marana is a tropical island, and Northwall is full of snow and those goddamn skulls.
Ah! Sorry, I'm just a weirdo now out in the world. It's okay, there's not many people out yet, because it's expensive to be off and do nothing in San Diego.
When he gets back, the whole town does a lottery to choose someone to sacrifice, and guess who the hell they pick? Goddamn Teddy. Or in Marana, some charlatan in a temple starts peddling some cult nonsense, pulling all your followers away and leaving your temple empty. Yeah, some real shit that'll have you saying, "Don't make me come down there," before you actually do go down there to sort things out. There's also some neat inter-town interaction, like how you'll need sheep fleece from Itos to warm up the people of Northwall. Despite the story really only playing out either in text or from extremely far away, it could be quite effective. Look at this and tell me you don't feel for all these little people suffering from the plague. And it's funny how each time your followers have something to tell you, it gives you this, "I know this is unexpected" dialogue box, which couldn't be more inaccurate. Like, I just cleansed the blood water and blood pool. You're damn right a little reverence is expected. One thing I want to bring up is the final level of the game, which you play once you've built up all 6 lands. You get access to Deathheim, which is where Tanzra lives, but rather than a proper level, it's just a boss gauntlet, which is a trope I have always friggin' loathed. Don't make me fight every boss again before making me fight the final boss. At least let me save and put the final boss gauntlet behind me, so I don't need to do it every time the final boss kicks my ass, which is often. Look at this. I'm going into the final boss battle with a pittance of a life bar. Can we please make this a fair
This
fight?
looks a lot like a version of Gaia.
Both are quite standard in their execution. I really did love having that little buffer of city building in between each high-pressure action section. It almost makes you feel like you're playing an RPG, or any game whose combat is broken up by slower moments of building and nurturing, even though you're not. ActRaiser is not a big game, but this little leapfrogging of genres makes it feel like one. Well, you'll be happy to know they did not spoil this design with crappy gameplay. Funny thing, but this is actually the first game developed by Quintet, and you wouldn't think that to be the case due to how surprisingly well it plays. I realize I'll need to speak to the 2 different sections of the game individually, so I'll start with the action sections. For the most part, these control well, mostly due to how simple it is. I mean, your only buttons are jump, attack, and use magic, so there's not a lot to mess up to begin with. Your attacks are sweeping enough to take out enemies around you, and sometimes even behind you, so you're never really going to feel that "my weapon is useless" frustration that you get in games like Lagoon. Magic is overpowered, like I mentioned, but I will happily take that over crap, useless magic. But there are a few things I don't like. For example, knockback is present, and it's just as unwelcome here as it is in any other game.
Yeah, I just never watched the back It's like 2 levels of that of your control.
It's like this dead zone that, while never catastrophic, will be frustrating and frequent. Like here, you could be damn sure I pressed the attack button, but the guy did nothing. If I had to quantify it, I would say that the controls in this game
Good word,
are
quantify.
5%. But you'll know it when you play it. Chalk that up to it being an early SNES title, I suppose. I also don't like how, for some bosses, just whacking away and not even trying to avoid the attacks is a viable strategy. The second time you fight this Minotaur, he's so fast and his attack is so hard to avoid that you're just better off staying put and whacking away. I would have liked the game to reward skill just a little bit more. But I will say that the action levels do not overstay their welcome and are the perfect length, giving us enough challenge without being repetitive. For the city building sections, it doesn't need to be as well honed, so I won't have as many complaints. Your little angel controls well enough, although I would have preferred it if you could move diagonally a bit better. Sometimes your shots need to be perfect, especially when taking out this bat from the side. Also, as satisfying as it is to see your town get built up every time the hourglass gets turned over, you do eventually reach a point where it just stops with no explanation. The hourglass will turn over and you'll get that little half-second pause, but no one will pop out to build the town up. It can be really unsatisfying, especially if you have any recently leveled buildings that need to be replaced. After looking into this, I did discover that there is a hidden layer of the game that has to do with maximizing the population of each town, and a lot gets factored into what you wouldn't think. For example, the points you earn in each action stage actually add to the total number of people you could add to the population in the city building section, to the tune of 1 person for every 50 points earned. Yeah, in this game the points actually accomplish something, so you can just whack away at enemies, I guess. There are also other strategies like using lightning or causing earthquakes to tear down the old structures, since newer ones add more to the population. Feels a bit evil, but here we go! Sorry guys! Even things like bridges somehow hinder your ability to add more people. I don't know. There's a massive guide floating around on the internet you can reference, but I would have preferred it if maximizing your population was a bit more of a transparent process, because it's quite unsatisfying to hit that wall. But quibbles aside, we have good gameplay, so we can wrap that up and move on to graphics. If you're around my age, you probably saw pics of this game in Nintendo Power when they were teasing games for the soon-to-be-released SNES and thought, holy shit! Yes, big, beautiful, colorful sprites that have actually held up well over time. It almost feels like a waste that really nice-looking enemies like this tree man only appear once in the whole game. But the enemies look good, even if some of them are a bit unconventional. You want big bosses? You got them! This game definitely understands that bosses are meant to be both a challenge and a spectacle. So we get this big pharaoh head, the swampy plant monster, the giant arctic wyvern. I also noticed how these bosses sort of kind of seem to represent other religions. Not sure if it was intentional, but this boss is called Kalia and looks like a Hindu deity. And there's this freaky fire wheel here that kind of looks like the Dharma Chakra, which is prevalent in Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, pretty much any religion that isn't, this one. Maybe I'm looking too far into it. Unfortunately, your main dude is a bit generic. He doesn't seem to have a face and he runs a little too rigidly. I mean, he was a stone statue a minute ago, so I don't know what I'm expecting. Would have been nice if they made him a little more interesting is all. We get some great levels that really go the extra mile to feel unique and exciting. Bloodpool Act 1 looks amazing with its poisoned sea stretching out into the distance. And check out the Parallax Clouds in Itos Act 1. Frig, yeah. Don't you just feel like a mythical deity right here? There's so much diversity from deserts to snowfields to swamps. Each level has its own
This game was a great showcase of the system.
Check out this massive tree in Northwold that you eventually find yourself running around inside. The worst a level could look is a bit bland, and none are full-on gorgeous, but for an early SNES title, they are easy on the eyeballs. The city building sections are unfortunately nothing to write home about as far as graphics are concerned. They do their job showing simplistic representations of entire villages, including individual people and animals, as well as these bubbles that display their sentiment. This part definitely has the most early SNES game vibe to it in my opinion, kinda blocky and with a very obvious tile set. Meh. And I have to mention the Mode 7 stuff. From moving your Sky Palace around the overworld map to these dramatic zoom-ins when you start an action section. Don't lie, there's a good chance you were impressed by this back in the day. These days, maybe not so much. Overall, better than average graphics with some high points and some middling points. I want to talk music. So, I generally like the music in this game. The song you're going to hear the most occurs during the city building sections, and it's actually a bullseye in my opinion. Coming down from the Sky Palace to mingle with the hoi polloi is accompanied by this peasant flute.
Gosh, I hope we see the saxophone from Captain Commando.
Despite moving quite frequently. The action
All of that
sections
music
are
animation,
the
notes, that was cute.
This plays at the beginning of several levels and really pumps you up to go out and kick ass. Here, look. Oh baby, let's go! I also like how this particular song's times really ramp up as soon as you jump on a little floating bird.
Ooh, dynamic music? That's freaking awesome. Not too surprised.
That's pretty neat. On the flip side, we have this little farty number for the caves and swamps that is a little more subdued, albeit unexceptional. I should point out that these 3 songs that I just showed you are actually used for 9 of the 12 action stages, which, frankly, is a little ridiculous. They went out of their way to make each level visually unique, so it's a shame the music was just recycled. Of the non-recycled songs, I want to point out Fillmore Act 1 for being really good, if not a little Castlevania.
I remember seeing this a lot on Nick Arcade. Kids would be given the first 30 seconds of this game to play and get like an arbitrary number of points. Didn't have any effect on what their city building would have been because they never would have gotten to the city building in 30 seconds. Some kids couldn't even get past the first like 2 seconds of the game without dying. They were clearly not equipped to play a game with arcade in the title. Oh my god. That's a
wonder Quintet reused some of them for Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia. Hitting enemies gives you this deep, crunchy thud. You can almost feel each nugget of boss health being depleted. And destroying an enemy has this squelchy burst of a sound that also feels pretty good in the lizard brain. You like that? Check it out when you beat a boss. Ooh, yeah. Right.
Feeling it.
May not have a face, but he has a voice that makes this breathy, echoey grunt when he gets hit. And that's something, I guess. If I need to pick on something, it's the all-too common trend of noisy, crawling text that's on full display here. I hate...
See, I noticed it at your suggestion, Motron, but otherwise I didn't notice.
To sum up the audio, it's good even if it could be built out, diversified, and expanded upon a little bit more. Now, should you get your wallet out for ActRaiser? I'm gonna say yes. There actually isn't any other game like this on the Super Nintendo as far as I know.
Yeah, certainly not ActRaiser 2.
We'll have fun. That's great, Mr. Motron, but how much is this gonna cost me?
I know that guy. Shit, I have $40 in my wallet right now. I should go buy this. I don't have a Super NES or CRT to play it on.
Beating the game, which may add value, so I'll let you ruminate on that. I'll also say you can't really find this game
By the way, ruminate means to throw up and look at.
Virtual console, but hasn't really seen the light of day in its original form since. There was a crappy mobile phone version in 2003, which I'm only bringing up to show you.
That looks awesome.
Make a sequel, ActRaiser 2 for the Super Nintendo, but they made the huge mistake of taking out the city building.
Is that a banana on the back of the angel in that box art? Like 2 bananas growing out of its back? Oh, I see. There it is.
Yes, I will mention ActRaiser Renaissance, which came out in 2021 for a bunch of platforms, although it really doesn't compare.
Motron,
For
by the way,
example,
here
the
are
city
my
building
faces
section has
of
been
mine.
completely
In
revamped
case
to
you want
include
some,
tower
we're
defense
doing
mechanics.
different
Really,
things.
everything is so different. Plus, as a standalone game, it's not great and likely only exists to build off the nostalgia of the original ActRaiser. So just get the original ActRaiser if you're in any way curious about this game.
Now you got no faces.
So I didn't really gush over this game, but I certainly didn't rip it apart, so it should be no surprise that ActRaiser lands at a respectable 8.1 out of 10. While its various parts don't really impress in their own right, as a whole, it's a fun little amalgam of action and city building that is going to give you...
4 out of 5 people would have fun time with it. Yeah, music. Ah, this is gonna be. What a world we live in. It's gonna be a long song. You know how I know? Look how slow these credits are going.
Because we act and we raise up our sword to the face of the evil that claims this land of men. We plunge our sword.
Boss Gauntlet is not enjoyable. Very straightforward, not biased.
Quench the dry land, melt the snow, and bring the lightning.
This song, man, this is crazy good as always.
The master hears our words ring out through hallowed temple.
I'm missing so much goodness right now, and I look forward to watching it again.
We act and we raise up our sword to the face of the evil that claims this land.
To me, value completed in a day is a high value, because then you can play one of the games in your collection that you picked. You could even give it away if you had a friend that had the same system. Games are like that. It's great. Stephen Polka, I saw him in a Motron video once. That's how I know that guy.
Provide is our eternal reverent cheer and wheat. Oh yes, take all the wheat. Because we act and we raise up our sword to the face of the evil that claims this land of men. We plunge our sword deep into Tantra's cursed keep and light the way so we all can thrive again.
Best $5 Patreon I could spend.